What's going on, everyone? Mike Kadlick, Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media inside of Gillette Stadium as the Patriots are outside in the rain here in Foxboro as they get ready to wrap up their 2024-2025 season against the Buffalo Bills this coming Sunday. We are powered by Prize Picks. We are powered by Game Time, and we are also powered by news around the Patriots quarterbacks and potential starters this coming Sunday as the Patriots and the Bills really have nothing to play for. Buffalo locked into the number 2 seed. Patriots, as of right now, locked into the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Could lose it with a win. So the question becomes, do you play Drake May? Do you sit Drake May? Do you play your starters? Do you sit your starters? Do you tank? Do you try and win this thing? Do you try and lose this thing? That's all up in the air, but we spoke to both Jerod Mayo and Drake May today down in Foxboro. Mayo said that all healthy starters are going to play and should be ready to go. Drake May also mentioning that he does want to compete and play in this one, so it sounds like he's at least going to start. Taylor, do you think he should play the whole game? Do you think they should start him at all? Do you think how do you think they should attack this thing knowing that the number 1 pick is on the line and Buffalo's not playing any of their starters?
Well, for one, if Jerod Mayo wants to play the healthy starters, I hope that means that Kyle Duggar will finally be shut down.
Yeah.
Jerod Mayo has acknowledged that Duggar's playing through injury, been dealing with an ankle injury for, I think, multiple months now. You could see last game was actually his best, I think, in a while. Had some rough moments in coverage, but I think he was also put into some tough spots. As a run defender, came downhill, was physical. I thought it was his best game in a long time. That said, the change of direction is not there. Shut Kyle Duggar down. Give those reps to Jalen Hawkins, Marte Mapu, Del Pettis, even Jonathan Jones if you have to. I just don't see the benefit of keeping Kyle Duggar on the field. But that's not the headliner. It's Drake May.
Right.
I will say Drake May needs to get some time on the field. So that's why I think he at least plays maybe a few drives, maybe a half, but I don't think you can shut him down because the past 2 games have not been his best. I actually think last week was the worst game he's had as a pro. Kind of understandable, gets his bell rung early. Maybe that threw him off his game, whatever, but it did look like his eyes weren't in the right place. Ball placement wasn't always great. So let him finish the season on a high note, then get him out of there, make sure that he's protected. Throw Joe Milton in there because this isn't a normal game where you beat the Chargers and now you have to carry some positive momentum into the end of the season. You got blown out by the Chargers. The Bills are playing their backups, and you have the number 1 overall pick. Taking the number 1 overall pick out of it, because I don't think that Jerod Mayo is trying to preach to his team that that's what they're playing for.
Totally.
I believe him when he says they still want to win, and that's the message with any football team. But again, Buffalo is resting their starters, or at the very least Josh Allen, so they have set the tone for this game, and it is pretty much another preseason game. So Jalen Polk was not at practice today. He looked like he suffered a shoulder injury at the end of last week's game, so he may not be out there, but like Javon Baker, Jaheim Bell, Caden Wallace, if he's healthy enough, another guy, he didn't look like he was in the starting lineup, looked like it was still Trey Jacobs, but getting Caden Wallace some action. You know, Lester Cotton went in for Mike Nwenu last week. Layden Robinson and Cole Strange still need to get some reps. And then defensively, not a whole lot of guys I think you could sit, frankly, because I think they're so banged up. There's not a ton of starters or even capable guys that can play in this game.
There's not a ton of depth there right now at all.
Exactly, but like Alex Austin, Isaiah Bolden, maybe you use less of John Jones at corner and try to see what those guys have. So yeah, I think this should be basically another preseason game, whether it's a few drives, whether it's a half. Make sure you're getting young guys reps, because if you wanted to see what these guys have, hey, this game is not going to affect your future. And again, there's not a whole lot you're going to gain if you do win. So try to fulfill one of the messages that you had for this season. Give those young guys more opportunities.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they ultimately play it. I think with Drake May and the offensive side of the ball, if they do what they did at the end of last week and start to get those young guys in there, you mentioned Lester Cotton, Caden Wallace. Once you make that move, get May out of there too. I did not like the fact that they started to make some tweaks on their offensive line and get the young guys going last week and still kept May out there. One of the main reasons why we think they sort of slow played this thing with Drake May this year was to protect him and not put him behind a piecemeal offensive line that doesn't have a lot of reps together. So when you started to do that last week, I didn't like it.
And to your point about Drake May being in with the backup line, now Caden Wallace is someone I still think he could potentially have a bright future, but he hasn't played in a long time, and his only glaring loss last week was a really bad one where he got bull rushed. Ramondre Stevenson, this is a blitz pickup, turns into Drake May getting tabletopped over Caden Wallace in a hit that looked pretty ugly. So obviously that's a very small sample size, but one of the concerns you have when you start putting up in backup offensive linemen while Drake May is still on the field.
Yeah, exactly. And I did change my mind a little bit here. I tweeted a couple days ago that I did think you had to play Drake May in this game. Now, I do think you still have to play him, but I think you're right. You put in the young guy, you put in Joe Milton, see what you have. It doesn't look like tanking if you frame it that way. And I think that it's not that's not the entire objective here, is to just lose the game. It is to actually see these young guys play. If you want, you can see what you have in Joe Milton, maybe turn him into a trade piece, maybe you see if he can be your long-term backup. So there's a lot of value in actually seeing what you have in that, and there's a ton of value in sitting Drake May down, keeping him healthy for 2025. So we'll see what the Patriots ultimately do with this one, taking on the Buffalo Bills this coming Sunday in Foxboro. Myself and Taylor will be here for CLNS Media, so make sure you keep it here on Patriots Press Pass, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel.